So funny story, I went into labor an entire week earlier than I had planned. I actually thought that I was going to be a week late because everyone in my family was a week late, and I was fully preparing to be a week late, and I was an entire week early, exactly 1 week early. So she was born. We do have a baby girl, and yeah, it's kind of been a crazy month. And so this is going to be kind of a long video because there's a lot that I have to put into this video. I could break it up into different videos for you guys, but just put it into one very long one. So I hope you don't mind the extra long one. I do have her in her carrier. It makes her less likely to cry. So I hope you don't mind. She's here. This video also will be over a few days. Not a few days, but it'll probably be broken up into 2 days because there's a lot that I want to do in this video. So one, I want to go over all the books that I read in October. I also want to talk about the books that I have received that are new, that I had pre-ordered. So I want to talk about those books. And then I also want to talk about books. I had ordered a bunch of books with my PANGO money because, as you know, I'm on a book buying ban, but okay, she's going back to sleep. But with my PANGO dollars, because I had sold a few books, I was able to purchase quite a few books actually for Christmas that are like Christmas themed, or not even Christmas, just like winter in general. Like these are books that I could probably read some, I don't know. I'll go over them with you though. So there's quite a few things that I actually want to talk about. Also, I want to talk about how I did end up getting the Nook e-reader and I absolutely love it. I think I like it way better than my Kindle, to be honest with you. And so I'll also talk about that as well. And so, yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. These are all the books that I read in October. I don't remember the order that I read them in, so I'm just going to take from the top and show you the book and talk about it a little bit. I do need to pull up my Goodreads though, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember all of the ratings. So we'll just get that up. This is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I actually read this for a book club that I was in, and I ended up giving this 4 stars. Now, I need to explain that 4 stars though, because if you have read this book, you're probably like, why would you give this book 4 stars? Very simply because I very much enjoyed it up until the very, very end, like the last 10 pages, I would say. Honestly, those last 10 pages were horrible. And if you read this book, please read this book. It's so enjoyable. I loved the vibes. I loved everything about it. I was listening to Taylor Swift's No Body, No Crime. Oh no. This book. So I was listening to Taylor Swift's No Body, No Crime when I was reading this, and it was phenomenal. Like, honestly, this book encompasses that song so well, and I absolutely loved it. So I do really, really love the eerie vibes that took place into this. This book is about this, well, it's really about this island that has these quirks about it, and the people that live on this island. It's pretty mystical, it's pretty magical. There is this one girl, her name is Emmy, right? Emery has lived there ever since she was born. She's always lived there. Her parents have always lived there, and she comes from a line of witches. And then there is August also comes from a line of witches, but he has been suspected of killing his and Emery's best friend, and it's kind of complicated. It's a wild ride. I think the reveal at the end could have been done a lot better. I really loved the characters in this. I loved the island as a character. I loved all the different characters. I loved the townspeople. They had such juicy gossip. It was pretty intense and incredible. So I really did like this book. Once again, the ending just fell so flat for me, but I'm still giving it 4 stars because I still highly recommend this. Just skip the last 10 pages, but I still highly recommend this, especially if you're looking for something that's YA I'm sorry, this isn't YA. This is actually adult. This is an adult book. But if you're looking for something that is similar to YA but adult vibes, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's just that like I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know how like in YA books they kind of just get you into the story and you're just in the story. They're not really focusing on the nuance of things. They're not really focusing on the romance necessarily. They're really focusing on the story. And I feel like that this book does it best. It was very intriguing. It drew me in. So I really did like this book and I would really recommend this. This is something that I will definitely remember many years into the future. I will still recommend this book. It was so phenomenal. I am a little biased because I do already love Adrienne Young. I loved her Fable series. I loved Fable, Namesake, and Saint. I loved that whole series. It was so good, and I highly recommend that for any person who's looking for a good YA series. So I already went in already loving her writing, so I'm a little biased there, but I gave it 4 stars, and it was really good to me personally. I also read The Ballerinas. This is by Rachel Kelpelke Dale. I gave this book 3 stars. This is a book that is going to probably stay with me for a very long time. This is a book that I'm probably going to think about for a very long time, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was a great book. It was very, very slow up until the very end, and then all of a sudden we were starting to get things. Pieces were coming in together, things were like forming and taking shape, and it was a beautiful ending, but it just took so long to get there. And I felt like I was slugging through this book for a good portion of it. Not that it was bad necessarily, it just was very slow. And this book was very thought-provoking. I also thought that it was going to be more of a thriller because it does say a well-crafted thriller for fans of Megan Abbott's. I didn't see the thriller aspect of this book. I did see the Black Swan comparison. I did see that, but I did not see the thriller part. I just didn't. I personally did not get that. So, but I did like it. Like, I did very much enjoy the book. It's about this ballerina, and she now is a choreographer, and she comes back to her old ballet in Paris Ballet, very prominent ballet company, and she's putting together a ballet performance, a choreography. And it's just kind of, there's 2 different timelines. It's her past timeline leading up to an accident or not really an accident that happened and that she may have caused, that may have ended something. I mean, it alludes to a murder, but it's just, I don't know, it's something you have to read. Like, you have to read it to understand. Some of it is just some... I don't know, just, I don't know, it's a very confusing book to read. It is definitely a contemporary romance, not contemporary romance, it's definitely a contemporary fiction, and it's definitely a book about, more of a feminist book, I would say. It definitely talks a lot about women in general and what women have to do in the ballet, and this notion of you can't get old. And yeah, so it's very interesting. I do recommend this book, but I don't recommend it for everyone. I recommend it for people who kind of like that slightly pretentious read. I would recommend it for them. I'm not saying you are pretentious if you read this. I'm just saying that you like those books, if that makes sense. I also read Days at Murasaki Bookshop. I gave this book also 3 stars. It's very difficult when I give a book 3 stars because sometimes it can be like a good 3-star or a bad 3-star. So it's very difficult to explain this, but this was a good 3-star. This is a book that I will also very much remember. I just kind of gave it 3 stars. I felt like it was unfair to give it a rating, to be honest with you, because it is originally written in Japanese and it was translated into English, and I do feel a lot of the emotion in this book was lost in the translation. There's a lot of sentences that are almost clunky and structured in a way that probably makes a lot more sense and is a lot more in depth in Japanese than it is in English. Like it almost feels like a literal translation at times. And so I feel like some of the emotion got lost in the translation, but I still really enjoyed it. It is about this girl, her boyfriend, turns out he was cheating on his fiance with her the entire relationship. And so she leaves him. She goes to her uncle's and works in his bookshop with him. And so it's a bit of a cozy read. It's just kind of like a day-to-day of her life. It's very short, like super, super short. A nice palate cleanser, if anything. I think the family relations is very interesting. Just her getting over her grief, learning more about herself, falling in love with reading. Those are very interesting aspects of just like human life in general. And I did really like this. Again, very, very short. It's more cozy than like plot driven, I would say. I did learn, and I learned this from Jack Edwards actually in his most recent video. I did learn that when there is a cat on the cover of Japanese written books, that it's supposed to signify that this is a cozy read. And so I thought that was very interesting because there is no cat in this book. Like there's no cat featured in this book, but there's a cat right there. So I thought that was very interesting and I really enjoyed that. Again, I gave this 3 stars. I would recommend this to people who, again, are interested in the literary, don't really need something that's super plot driven, would like a palate cleanser, and is just trying to like find something to get in the mood with. I'm sorry, she's stirring again. Oh, I think she was just trying to get comfortable. I definitely recommend this one for, again, those people who like those styles of books. If you're trying to get into Japanese fiction, I definitely recommend starting with this one because I think this is like the perfect intro to that genre. I also read Truly Madly Deadly. This was a fast read for me. Like I flew through this one. I gave it 3 stars. I feel like I gave a lot of 3 stars this month. I gave it 3 stars, and I'm gonna be honest with you, one of my main complaints with this book again was the ending. I just felt like the ending was not good. Like it just didn't feel well thought out. I think the rest of the book was incredible, just very, very well thought out for the rest of the book, but I feel like just the ending part was just not good. So this book is about this girl. Her boyfriend passes away in a tragic car accident and it's being investigated, but she goes into her locker and opens it up the next day to see that there is a note that says you're welcome, and she has this admirer who's basically taking out people who cross her in any way or threaten to hurt her in any way. Like, and this can be like a hurt, like psychologically, like anything whatsoever. They're being taken out to the point where like she's in fear for anyone who says anything bad about her. I loved it. I loved the cat and mouse game. I loved just like being thrown in there. It was very fast paced. And then you got to the ending, and once again, I just felt like the ending fell flat for me. Do I recommend this? Yeah, for like that YA range, I would recommend it because I don't think they're going to be as critical as the ending. But for me personally, there were so many unanswered questions, and I was like, did she ever get an apology from like all these people who thought that that it was her doing all of this stuff? Like, did she ever get that apology? Because, I mean, they were making some pretty serious accusations, and if they didn't apologize, like, I would be very upset. I just feel like the ending didn't give me what I wanted, but fast read, like, I think I read this in 1 or 2 days, so very fast read. Definitely recommend that. Just understand that the ending is going to fall short. Honestly, I don't know if there's a book in this stack that I didn't rate 3 stars, because this also got 3 stars. This is this is Murder Your Employer, McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. And this book was hilarious. I did give it 3 stars. It was very funny. It was very dry humor. It was kind of long and it dragged on a lot, and there was a lot that I feel like could have been taken out, wasn't needed. I did like that there were multiple points of view as you read through the story. And I do think it's, again, like I thought it was very humorous, and it's very dry humor, like very reminiscent of that like British dry humor, if you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it was also written, I think it's like 1950s. This book wasn't written in 1950, but it was like written in that era. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I don't know how to say that. The the it takes place in the 1950s. I think that's how you say that. Anyways, and so you have that, like, there's no like curse words and there's no spice or smut or anything like that, but you have that like 1950s like innuendoing. So like people go necking and stuff like that. And it is about these people who want to off their employers basically, and they always have a good reason, and basically they go to this school to learn how to do it, and their graduation depends on them following through with everything that they've learned. So it was very funny. I really liked the twists and turns that you get at the very end. I thought that was very well done. I think the ending was very nice. I think that's probably a spoiler. I really liked this book. Would I ever read it again? No. Would I recommend it? Probably to some people. I think some people would really like this. Like I can think of like one or two people that I think would really like this. But it's definitely a book that is atmospheric. Like I think you would have to read it in the fall. Like this book really is like a fall book, and it's more of like rainy day weather type of a thing. Like this is one of those books that you need to get into the mood for it. I feel like I don't think this is something that you would just like pick off your shelf to read, but it was good. Like it was good. It did what it needed to do, in my opinion. I read The Kiss Curse. I was not the biggest fan of this book. I gave it 2 stars. I felt like this book, I think I forgot about the X-Hex. Like I read the X-Hex last year and I couldn't remember. I just remembered it being cute and funny, and I couldn't remember if there was spice or not. This book is all spice. Like it was just, my goodness gracious, like there was just so much of it. And if they weren't initiating into smut, they were like talking about it, and it just there's other things that happen, I'm sure, in this book, but the cumulative narrative of everything that happened probably happened within 10 to 15 pages. So the rest of it is just talking about or actually initiating all of these spicy scenes. So that was very frustrating. Also, there's a lot of cursing, like a lot of cursing. And it's not that I don't have friends who curse. It's just that, like, I don't know, in a book, it takes me out of the story and it completely just like shocks me. It's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like getting a splash of cold water on your face when like I see curse words, but when there's this many, I couldn't get into the story. I just kind of was annoyed with all of the characters. And honestly, like I read this book specifically because I was in a reading challenge with another book club and I just wanted to get this prompt done, and I didn't have time to pick a different book to fill that prompt. So I literally just finished this and I was kind of angry the whole time. So should I have read this? Probably not. Would this have gotten a higher star with anyone else? Probably. Like I think that this book just really wasn't for me. I would recommend it to people who like a lot of smut in their books and who don't mind a ton of swearing in their books. I would recommend this for that. Also, I thought it was very predictable. So there was also that. I gave this 3 stars. I have kind of been thinking about giving it 2 stars just because after a while, like sitting on this rating, I've been thinking of giving it 2 stars, but I think I'm just going to keep it at the 3 star. Whatever. It's called Can't Spell Treason Without T. It says it's a cozy fantasy steeped with love. That is a blatant lie. This is not a cozy fantasy at all. I don't know if this author knows what a cozy fantasy is. It was a lot. I actually have a Goodreads review that you can definitely check out if you are interested in learning all of my thoughts, but basically, the Reader's Digest abridged version is that this book is about these 2 women who are in a relationship with each other. One is a mage for all intents and purposes, and the other one is basically a guard for the queen. Again, this is the most minimal latent terms. I just kind of want to explain the situation. So, anyways, the girl who's a guard, Reyna, she leaves the queen and runs away with Kyanthe, who is the mage. Okay. So they run away together into this like small town and they start a tea shop. Now you think that this is going to be kind of a cozy, cute, like they're just putting together this tea shop. No, people are being offed left and right. Like there is constant near-death experiences. I mean, they're under siege. There's all kinds of stuff that are happening and it is not cozy at all. There is a lot of high stakes that are happening throughout this book. And then every now and again, it gets sprinkled with, oh, would you like a cup of tea? Like I made some biscuits. Like it's just very confusing and frustrating because I felt like I was being pushed around a lot. I also felt like some of the scenes were almost identical to Legends and Lattes, which is another book that I've read that was a true cozy fantasy. But it almost, like there were certain scenes in this book that almost felt like the author just kind of copy and pasted it into her book. I don't know. That may have just been like a me thing, but it just felt very, very similar. So do I recommend this? Yes, but not for a cozy fantasy. If you're looking for a cozy book, I do not recommend this one. I recommend something else. If you're looking for something that is just kind of a normal adventure book, yeah, I would recommend this one. It was okay. It was like okay. Cozy? No. Oh, I did read Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is book 1, The Lightning Thief. I loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought this was hilarious. This is definitely a middle school book, but I think adults would enjoy this very much because a lot of the jokes just land perfectly. This was incredible, just absolutely phenomenal, absolutely incredible. This book is about, if you're not familiar with the Percy Jackson series, this book follows Percy Jackson and Annabeth and Grover, and they are on the quest to find Zeus's lightning bolt, who he thinks, like Zeus thinks that Percy stole it. And so Percy is Poseidon's son. He goes to this camp, he finds out all of this stuff. They're on this quest. They got to go get the lightning bolt. I thought it was so funny and well done and well written because so many things take place in this book. There's a lot of themes that take place in this book based on what it feels like to try and live up to your parents' expectations, what it feels like to lose a parent, what it feels like to make new friends in this awkward stage, what it feels like. There's just so many things that are explored in this book for middle schoolers that I think are very relevant for adults as well. Like I definitely still recommend this for adults. Again, it's so funny. If you have watched the Percy Jackson movies, not the TV show. If you watched the movies, now of course the movies do not live up to the book by any means. They changed a lot in the movie. I think there's like a running joke that the movies are called Peter Johnson and the books are Percy Jackson. So that's a running joke. You won't get it unless you read the book. But I definitely think that they got the character of Percy much better in the movies than they did in the TV show. In the TV show, I felt like Percy as a character was just so serious and just his jokes did not land at all. And I also felt like they made Annabeth just this really angry young girl, and that was not true of her character in the book either. So it was very confusing watching the TV show. I hate saying this. I almost prefer the movie over the TV show, even though the TV show is highly more accurate to the book. I just thought it wasn't funny. Like, and this book is all humor. Like, it's all good times. And so that was really frustrating, but again, it is what it is. I did very much enjoy this though, and I definitely recommend it. I gave it, again, 4 stars. I read Stalking Jock the Ripper. I actually listened to this on audiobook, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I gave it 3 stars, and I'm gonna be honest with you, this book fell very flat for me, to the point where I was like, I think I'm just going to get rid of the other books in this series. I do not plan on reading those books. I will probably end up just putting them either on my Pango account, or I'm going to put them in the free libraries, just because, like, this, I don't know, it was very weird. It was just very weird. I felt like we were focusing so much on the romance of this, and there's literally a man going around and offing people. So I just felt like priorities were not in place. Like, we didn't have our priorities in check. And also, I felt like the romance was very forced. Like, I felt like we were really putting these people together, and that wasn't really fun. She's supposed to be this very intelligent, very independent character, and she wasn't. She was very dependent. She was very much like asking for assistance, asking for clues and all of this stuff. I don't know. I felt like a lot of the information that she derived was handed to her, and you didn't really see her work it out on her own to see her really, like, lean into her intelligence and her independence. I don't know. She seemed like a weak character to me, and she's supposed to be the main character. So that's really all my thoughts for that. I gave this, what did I give it? I gave it 3 stars. Wow. Okay. I gave it 3 stars. And then here's the last book that I read in October, and that was Home is Where the Bodies Are. I gave this book 2 stars. This book, I just was so disappointed in this book. Like, I had all of my hopes in this book because I thought it was going to be phenomenal. It's a quick read. I thought we were going to be thrown right into the thriller of it. And it took over 60 pages to get to the point of the book. And then once we got to the point of the book, it like went back to being boring for an additional 40 pages. And that was beyond frustrating, because this book is only 240 pages. Like, you've wasted over 100 pages being boring. You only have 140 pages left, and I'm going to assume the last 40 pages are like explanations and getting to the ending of it. So you really just have 100 pages for me to be interested, and it didn't do that at all. So honestly, I felt cheated with this book, especially at the end, because everything just gets wrapped up and explained away in the epilogue, and that just really frustrated me. I just got very, very frustrated with that, and so I ended up giving this 2 stars, and I can't think of I can't think of a situation where I would recommend this book. I think I might, for people who are just like, I just need something quick and dirty. It doesn't have to be good. I think maybe, like, if you had like a reading prompt that you're trying to get filled or something like that, like if you were in a reading challenge, if you're doing like a reading bingo or something like that, like maybe I would give this to you. But it says rated T for thrilling. I disagree. Politely, I disagree. So anyways, those are all of the books that I read in October. I think there's 10 books altogether. So I had a really good reading month. I had a good reading month, like, quantity-wise. Quantity, I had a good reading. Quality, I would say not so much. But, it is what it is. It just, it just so happens that it wasn't my favorite reading month, I should say. I'm going to set these books aside because I also want to talk about all of the books that I have gotten recently. Okay, so I have a few books that I had pre-ordered and they came in November, so I'm very excited to go over those. But some of them I have to talk about other books first. So I did get Where the Library Hides. This is Isabel Ibanez's new book, and it is book 2 to What the River Knows. And I'm very interested in reading this. This one I do believe has a lot of like Egyptian folklore, like a Egyptian, yeah, folklore. That's the word for it. So Bolivian Argentinian Inez Oliveira belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires, and like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns for the most: her globe-trotting parents, who frequently leave her behind. And so that is just the first paragraph of what this book is about, but I'm very interested in reading these two books together. And just, I think that would be fun. I think they would be fun to read. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're going to be fun to read. And then I also got Stranger Skies. This is such a pretty cover. Like, this is so pretty. So this one says, opening locked doors has a price, even for those who hold a key. After going through the door that called to them both in dreams, Emery and Romy find themselves in the Witchwood, the same verdant world written in the Song of the Drowned Gods, albeit a twisted, rotting version of it. A sinister force has awoken with their arrival, intent on destruction as it spills across realms, and now Emery and Romy must stop it before it reaches their own shores. So this is quite a big book, which I'm very excited about. I do like really big fantasy books because I feel like they're able to get more in depth into the fantasy. So I'm excited to read this. I also got Skyshade. I did pre-order Skyshade. I read Lightlark and I read Nightbane, and Skyshade is the conclusion to that trilogy. I am so excited to finish out the trilogy. I thought I was actually going to have this read by now, but I did have other books that I was in the middle of and wanted to finish up before I got to this so that I could give it my full attention. What is this book about? So Skyshade is part of the Lightlark trilogy. If you're familiar with Lightlark, it is about this, I guess she's a queen, right? But it's Isla, and she has to go and compete in this competition that happens once every century. And Grimm and Oro are these two, I would also say, I guess they're kings of their realms. So all of the queens and kings of the realms come together to compete in this competition in order to save Lightlark. And this is the final one because it is dying, like fully dying. And if they don't win, then it is the end of it. So there is a bit of a love triangle that happens between Isla, Grimm, and Oro. And so there's a bit of a love triangle. I loved the book, though. I thought that it was phenomenal. I think it was great writing. It was very entertaining. It did what it needed to do. It is YA. So, I mean, I thought it was great. Like, I really, really liked Lightlark, guys. I don't know why we jumped on that bandwagon of not liking it and not enjoying it, but I really did. Like, I thought it was really good. So I'm excited to continue the series with Skyshade. I'm trying not to tell you what Skyshade is about because it kind of gives spoilers for Lightlark and for Nightbane to tell you what this book is about. So I guess just read Lightlark and Nightbane and then you'll know what Skyshade's about, right? Okay. Good job. I also got The Fury of the Gods. This is by John Gwynne. I have just recently started reading John Gwynne's books. I started with, this is the third book in the trilogy of the Bloodsworn. Yeah, it's just the Bloodsworn. This is the third book, The Final Battle. I'm very excited to read this one. She is a pretty hefty book. I already have read The Shadow of the Gods. I actually read that this month, at the beginning of the month. And The Hunger of the Gods is book 2, which I have not finished yet, but I am in the process. I'm probably not going to finish it in November. I will probably finish it in December. Or I don't know. Will I finish it in December? Am I going to read it? I don't know. It depends. There's a lot of books that I want to read in December, and I kind of want to go into that Christmassy because you only get it for so long. So, anyways, The Fury of the Gods. This is the ending of that. This is an epic fantasy. If you're interested in epic fantasies, I highly, highly, highly recommend John Gwynne. He wrote the Malice series, which I have not read yet, but I have been highly recommended and encouraged to read. So I think that will be my next John Gwynne series that I try out, but I am loving his writing. I'm loving his fiction. It's just so good. It's so captivating. Shadow of the Gods was about this. Well, okay, so there's different characters. There's 3 different points of view. There's one Orca, and she is a mom, and basically her son has been kidnapped. And so she's on this journey to go find her son. She ends up losing her husband pretty early on into the book, trying to save their son, but it's like kind of a mess. And then you have this other guy. He is basically a slave. They're called thrallings, but he's basically a slave. And so he kind of, his employer and he is on the run trying to find out what happened to his sister. He knows his sister has passed, but he doesn't know who did it, and he knows it was violent, but he doesn't know who did it, and so he's trying to get vengeance for her. And then there's another woman who is another point of view, and I feel like her storyline is kind of the most confusing, and you don't really understand her storyline until much later in the book after a lot of things have happened. So giving her storyline kind of spoils some stuff, but basically, like, the gist of it, without spoiling anything for the book, is that she is a part of this like company, and they hunt down these like half gods, and they're basically humans, but they have godlike powers, and so they hunt them down and they sell them, and that's the whole thing with her storyline. Well, not the whole thing, but that's a good portion of her storyline. It's a very good series, though. I don't think I'm giving it justice, like explaining it, but it is really interesting. It's an epic fantasy, so just seeing everything. My favorite part of epic fantasies is knowing that all of those points of view somehow converge into one. Like, they're all going to meet at some point, right? And watching that happen is always so fun. We've already had 2 points of view merge into one, so that was really interesting to watch how they knew each other, and like all of that was so cool. I loved it. So anyways, John Gwynne, phenomenal writer, phenomenal. So definitely recommend getting into the Bloodsworn books. Okay, just get into it. Okay, get into John Gwynne. Okay, another book that I'm very excited about. I'm very, very, very excited about to read this. I'm gonna read it in December. Is Spectacular. This is by Stephanie Garber. This is the novella for Caraval series, the Caraval trilogy. If you've read the Caraval trilogy, I did read it. I think I gave the series as a whole 3 stars. I wasn't like super, what is the word? Like, I wasn't like super impressed by the first book. I thought the first book, the character was so boring. Like the sister was just so boring, and I was like, I don't want to read your point of view. I want to read your sister's point of view. She seems so much more interesting. And then the second book is the other sister, and that was great. I loved that book. And then the third book, I feel like we just didn't need that one. Like, I feel like we could have just said no. But I am excited to read the novella. I loved being in this world, and also more so than that, there's pictures, guys. Like, just stunning, absolutely beautiful. I'm very, very, very excited about all of this artwork that is happening with this book. I'm very excited about oh my gosh, I just love it. I love it so much. So I'm excited to get into this book and just read it. And it's also a novella, so it's quite short. So love that. And then this is the last book that I have pre-ordered and gotten in the mail. This is Darkly by Marisha Pessel. And this is another like fantasy, right? Arcadia Dia Gannon has long been obsessed with Louisiana Veda, the game designer whose creations and company, Darkly, have gained a cult-like following. Dia is shocked when she's chosen for a highly coveted internship, along with 6 other teenagers from around the world. Why her? Dia has never won anything in her life. Darkly, once a game-making empire renowned for its ingenious and utterly terrifying toys and games, now lies dormant after Veda's mysterious death. The remaining games are priced like rare works of art, with some fetching millions of dollars at auction. As Dia and her fellow interns delve into the heart of Darkly, they discover hidden symbols, buried clues, and a web of intrigue. But who are these teens, and what secrets do they keep? Why were any of them really chosen? The answers lie within the labyrinth of Darkly, a chilling and addictive read by Marisha Pessel. This summer will be most twisted, Darkly game of all. And then it says, what would you kill for? I'm interested to read this. I thought it was a fantasy. It's not a fantasy, guys. But I don't know why, but like, it's signed. It's signed. It's fine. I don't know if like this was, no, it says it was 2004. I'm excited to read this because I kind of like a good spooky book, but it's also taking place in summer. So very interesting to have a spooky book taking place in the summer. I will probably want to read this in January in that colder climate. Again, I love a good atmosphere book. And those are all the books that I pre-ordered that came in November. Now let's talk about books that I actually purchased. Just these. The first book that I have on here is The Perfect Christmas. This is by Debbie Maycumber. I do love a good Debbie Maycumber book. She is an author that my mom used to read when I was a little girl. And so I used to like pick up her books when my mom was done reading them. I think this is one of those mass-produced paperbacks, but I got it for like a couple dollars on Amazon, so I'm not mad about it. But this is The Perfect Christmas by Debbie Maycumber. Obviously, it is a Christmas-themed book. This book is for Cassie Beaumont. It's meeting her perfect match. Cassie, at 33, wants a husband and kids, and so far nothing's worked. Nope, not blind dates, not the internet, and certainly not leaving love to chance. So she hires professional matchmaker Simon Dodson. He's very expensive and very choosy about the clients he takes on, but he's got a great reputation. Cassie's astonished when he agrees to work with her. And then she has to complete 3 tasks in order to get her perfect match. So I thought this would be a cute little Christmas romance to read. There's no spice and no smut in any of Debbie Maycumber's books. So I'm very excited for a good classic Hallmark Christmas book with no spice and no smut. So we're looking forward to that. I also got Christmas at Silver Falls. This is by Jenny Hale. Jenny Hale also doesn't write spice or smut. And this book says, ever since Scarlett Bailey was a little girl, White Oaks Inn has been at the heart of her Christmases. Each holiday, her grandmother fills the old-fashioned hotel with the scents of cinnamon and chocolate. But this year will be Bailey's last Christmas there, unless Scarlett can convince Charlie Bryant, a handsome, successful property developer, to invest in her beloved inn. Another great Hallmark read. You know what I mean? I just love a good Christmas Hallmark movie, and I love a good Christmas Hallmark book. So I'm excited to read this one as well as we trudge into the colder months. I got Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop. I also have the first one, The Christmas Bookshop. I also got that book as well, but I don't have it in this stack. It's going to be here on Tuesday, so which will probably be the day that I talk about the books that I read in November. So just stay tuned further into this video because I'm filming all of this at once. Well, not at once, but like it'll all be in the same video. So this is the Christmas Bookshop. This is a sequel to the Christmas Bookshop. Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop. It's a sequel to the Christmas Bookshop. And it says, Christmas comes early, far too early to McCready's little old town bookshop in Edinburgh. It's summer hot with long daylight hours, but an American production company has decided that McCready's is the perfect location to film a very cheesy Christmas movie. After all, who can resist the charmingly narrow historic street with its Victorian gray stone buildings and warmly lit shop windows? Carmen Hogan, who has taken over the day-to-day running of the bookshop, is amused and a bit horrified by the goings on. But the money the studio is paying is too good to pass up. After they've moved on, Carmen uses the little windfall from filming to enlarge the store. which involves clearing out an almost forgotten storeroom packed full of old books. From deep in the stacks, old McCready's secrets emerge just as snow begins to fall and the lights of Christmas blink on outside. So I'm excited to read this again. Very cutesy, very adorable. No smut, no spice. No smut, no spice. This is The Christmas Tree Farm by Melody Carlson. This book just recently came out in September. This is a new book and it's very, very short. So very quick, just an easy read. This one is when Madison McDowell returns from teaching overseas, she has high hopes of picking up where she left off at her family's Christmas tree farm in Oregon. But between damage from a recent wildfire and the neglect due to her sister Addie's unwillingness to invest, the farm is in sad shape. In fact, Addie is intent on selling the property. And to top it off, Madison's former high school flame, the now widowed Gavin Thompson, has plans to break her heart again by turning his neighboring property into a dusty, noisy dirt bike track for his daughter. I think this is going to be cute. I think it's going to be adorable. I think it's going to be what I want. And it's short, which means I'm going to read it in one sitting. So this is what we love. This is what we look for when we're looking for a Christmas book. Okay, let's be honest here. This is a big one, but it's actually 10 books in one. So all 10 books are right over here. And this is the Spruce Crossing Christmas by Ruby Hill. Again, no smut, no spice. We're loving the Christmas vibes. And there are all of these stories in this collection. I'm kind of here for it. The collection is free on Kindle Unlimited. So if you were interested in reading this and you were like, I have Kindle Unlimited, you could read this for free. Did I want to do that? No. I wanted the physical. But there are Christmas Memories, which is a holiday romance to help these strangers discover what really matters in life. A Second Chance Holiday. A Second Chance Christmas romance. Fake Relationship for Christmas. A fake engagement could change their lives forever. 3 Hearts for Christmas. A single mom finds true love. That's cute. Christmas Performance. Saving a cherished small town business while also finding her heart. Decorating for Christmas. A holiday fixer-upper to warm your heart. Christmas Heartstrings. An author who finally finds her own real-life happily ever after. Christmas Adventure, a second chance romance to find adventure this holiday season. Christmas Mishaps, a beautiful Christmas wedding at the Spruce Crossing Inn. And then Christmas Promise, can they save a small town business while also finding true love? So that is all 10 books in this one giant book that is over 600 pages, almost 700 pages. But I'm going to be honest with you, 700 pages for 10 books, that's less than 100 pages per book. So these are going to be very fast reads. And then I just have 2 more books left. These ones are more thriller-y. This one is Candy Cane Killer, a freshly baked cozy mystery. And this is by Kate Bell and Kathleen Suzette. It's Christmas time, and while that jolly elf dressed all in red is preparing to deliver presents all around the world, Allie McSwain and crew are in Goose Bay, Alabama, visiting Allie's mother and working to solve a murder. Allie's daughter Jennifer discovers a murdered neighbor on the lawn, and it's up to Allie and Alec to figure out who the murderer is before there's another victim. And I thought this was like really cute, really fun, really quick, really easy. Cozy mysteries. We love that. And then there's this other one. This is by Kathleen Suzette as well. And it's Gingerbread and a Murder, which I think is just fun. And then it says, Christmas should be merry, but when a murder threatens to ruin the festivities, Rainy Day is on the case. Evidence points to her niece as the killer, and Rainy is dismayed to find that the more she questions people, the more the evidence against her niece stacks up. I read that wrong. Evidence points to her niece as the killer, and Rainey is dismayed to find out the more she questions people, the more the evidence against her niece stacks up. Rainey and her boyfriend, Detective Cade Starkey, are set to spend their first Christmas together. Can they create new memories together to replace the old painful ones? I think this is really adorable as well. And so those are all of the books that I purchased with my PANGO dollars. And yeah, very, very, very excited to read all of these books. I also got a Nook, and once again, like, I think I like it more than the Kindle that I had. I had a Kindle for about 10 years. I think a little less than 10 years, but close to it. And it died. the battery died, it gave out, it wouldn't turn on. I kept trying to charge it, it wouldn't charge. So that was kind of a bummer. And I there's a fly. I was kind of bummed out, but my husband and I talked about it and he was like, "Do you want to get another Kindle?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't read Kindle Unlimited books that much. Like, it's just not one of the things that I'm like super hyped up on. And I'm not always super interested in Kindle in general. I feel like I always have problems with the app. It always gives me these weird ads. It's just very frustrating to buy something, to purchase something, and for the person to give it to you and to still give you ads, even though like you own that product. I decided to look into other devices. Also, I am trying to slowly stop purchasing stuff from there. I just feel like I have a lot of questions about Amazon's ethics and morals. And so I'm trying to slowly step back from that and shop more so with people that are like actual brick and mortar stores, like places in my town, places near my town, stuff like that. I looked at Kobo and I also looked at Barnes and Noble, and I decided to go with the Barnes and Noble Nook primarily because I buy books from Barnes and Noble and I get the stamps. And if you buy so many books, like if you spend so much money, you get so many stamps, and so many stamps equal a $5 coupon type of thing. And a lot of the books that I'm reading, at least that I have been reading from Barnes and Noble, I can get for free because I use the $5 in order to purchase the ebook. And so I've been doing that with all of the stamps that I've gotten from pre-orders, and that has been really good so far. So I haven't paid for a book yet, but I am very, very excited to just get into my Nook. I really like it. I also have the stand for it, and I have the clicker button. So when I'm feeding her, I can just read my Nook like in bed, and it is the most comfy thing ever. I love it, and it's great. It's perfect. I really like it. I can go grab it. Let me go grab it. Okay, so this is the Nook, and this is what it looks like. This is a little clicker button that has, and then this is the remote for that, so that you can just be lying down and click away and have all your hands. Oh, my midwife is calling me. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I got a phone call, but this is my Nook, and this is the little thingy to, with the receiver button so that you can change the page. And what I like about this Nook is that there are buttons on the side, on both sides, and that can change the page. It can, like, you can also, like, it's obviously touch screen, so you can tap it and change the page, or you can actually just hit the button and change the page. I still have the plastic thingy on here, and I don't really want to take it off yet, so sorry. But I really like this more so than I like my Kindle, because one, it goes straight to the Barnes and Noble app. Like, it's just, the books are right here. They're easy to get to. They're easy to find. It's easy to get to my library. It's easy to shop. Everything is just very easy and user-friendly. Like, even if you've never used an e-reader before, this is just so user-friendly that anyone could use this. Anyone could pick this up and use it and be able to figure it out. So, very user-friendly. Also, I really enjoy the fact that there's audiobooks on here. You can actually get a subscription at Barnes & Noble for audiobooks and listen to audiobooks right on the Nook. There is a little jack here if you have headphones that plug in, or you can connect to your Bluetooth, so that's nice. It has Wi-Fi. Obviously, if you're buying books on here, it has Wi-Fi, but yeah, it's just very easy. And the best part is there's no ads. Like, the ads are driving me crazy. And so I do like that this is books and books only. Like, I mean, obviously audiobooks, but audiobooks are books. So I just really like that this is it's just for reading. Like, I'm not getting distracted by everything else that the Kindle bells and whistles and all of that stuff. That was so frustrating for me. I know a lot of people went out and got the brand new Kindle with the color soft and like it's all in color. I don't need that. I don't need that. I just want to read. And when I read, I don't really read a lot of graphic novels. So honestly, those those types of things are great if you read a lot of graphic novels, but I don't. I read books with words and I don't need color to do that. So I'm very happy with my Nook. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's like the best thing that I have purchased so far. Just so that you know what I got. I got the Nook Glow Light 4 Plus. So that's the Nook that I got. And it has night mode. Oh, I do like night mode actually. So I will be reading when I'm feeding her at night. And once it turns to morning, like once the sun starts to rise, it'll change into day mode. So it'll go from night mode to day mode. And I do enjoy that because it doesn't like hurt my eyes and I don't have to stop reading to change it. It just does it automatically. And I really like that. Like it's nice. It has storage of 32 gigabytes of memory. So it holds thousands of books, like crazy. Page turning buttons, battery life, read for weeks on a single charge. I will say I got this in, I think I got it the first week of November, maybe like half a week into November. I think I got this and I have not charged it once. So I have been reading this every single day and I haven't charged it once. I charged it when I first got it, went to 100%, and I haven't charged it since. Let's find out what the battery is right now because, I mean, let's see. Battery level is 42%. I haven't charged this, guys, and it's still at 42%. That's insane to me. So this is my library and these are all the books that I own. And I like that it's just like right here. Like it's all just like right here. So I have 4 books right now, but I've already completed 2. I just love this. I just really, really love everything about this. It's great. It's wonderful. It's waterproof. I've also accidentally dropped this and it was totally fine. Everything was fine. I was definitely having heart palpitations, but it ended up okay. So it works out. It's a great e-reader. If you're looking for an e-reader, if you're looking for something to give a reader, I definitely recommend, or if you want to get it yourself, I definitely recommend getting the Glow Light 4 Plus. I did end up getting the 4 Plus because it's a bigger screen, but I think the Glow Light 4 would have worked just as well. I will see you guys in a couple of milliseconds because you're just going to see me on the screen and I will go over all of the books that I read in November. It is Wednesday, December 4th. Yesterday was actually my birthday. It was very exciting. I went to a new mommy meet and greet with the midwives and then I came home and I did dishes and that was pretty much the day. But I did get the book. I actually got it the same day that you saw all the other clips, but it was nighttime, the lighting wasn't so good, and so I didn't really want to refilm that. But I got the Christmas bookshop, it finally came in. I just wanted to show it to you. This is like the only book to add to that little haul, and I just wanted to show it because I said I would, I guess, I don't know. But this is the Christmas bookshop. Again, it's by Jenny Colgan, and laid off, yeah, okay, I can read. Laid off from her department store job, Carmen has perilously little, I don't know how to say that, little cash and few options. The prospect of spending Christmas with her perfect sister, Sophia, in Sophia's perfect house with her perfect children and her perfectly ordered yuppie life does not appeal. Frankly, Sophia doesn't exactly want her prickly sister there either, but she has yet another baby on the way, a mother who is desperate to see her daughters get along, and a client who needs help revitalizing his shabby old bookshop, so Carmen moves in and takes the job. Thrown rather suddenly into the inner workings of Mr. McCready's ancient bookshop on the picturesque streets of historic Edinburgh, Carmen is intrigued despite herself. The store is dusty and disorganized, but undeniably charming. Can she breathe some new life into it in time for Christmas shopping? What will happen when a famous and charismatic author takes a sudden interest in the bookshop and in Carmen? And will the Christmas spirit be enough to help heal Carmen's fractured family? So, again, I just love holiday books. I love holiday books. I feel like there's always like extra magic in all of holiday books because you have to have a sense of like, this is unbelievable in the real world. So yeah, I just am very happy about that. But I also wanted to go over all of the books that I read in November. I didn't read many. I read 7, but I kind of had fun. I read 7 books. I read 2,601 pages in November, which again, like, is not as much as I have read in previous months, just this year alone. Yeah, so I read 2,601 pages, 7 books. I read 2 I would say are thrillers. 1 dark academia book. I read 1 that's really for middle school. 1 YA, 1 romance, like an adult romance, and then 1 epic fantasy book. And yeah, so I guess we'll just get into it. Those are kind of strange stats, but whatever. I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I'm just going to grab from the top and work my way down. So I hope you enjoy that. This is a book that I read. I can't remember when I read this, but this is, well, I do know it was in November. This is Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice by Katie Cicatelli Cook. I don't know how to say that last name, but here it is. And this book was quite, how do I say, like literal, I guess. It was kind of frustrating, especially with our main character, because I felt like she was honestly out of line a good portion of the time. And I also felt like these fights and like conflict resolutions that were happening, I feel like they were just so sudden. There was actually no conversation to resolve the conflict. They just decided the conflict was resolved for no reason. And that was kind of frustrating as well. I did feel like the mom and the daughter relationship was very forced and very confusing because, I mean, I understand, but also I don't understand why the mom was like, am I doing this right? Like, am I supposed to, like, she's asking her daughter if she's parenting in the right way when, like, she's telling her, yes, you can go places, or no, you can't go places, or I need to, like, I need information, I need more information, like, anything like that. It just is very weird, and it didn't come across as, like, I think it was intended to come across as like, oh, look how funny we are. And like, look, we're actually really just friends. We're not even really like mother-daughter. We're just like good friends with an age gap. And I don't know. It was very strange. And so I didn't really like this book. I think I gave it like 2 stars. And I don't know if the intended audience would even like this book. I felt like just the writing in general was almost mocking of people this age. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you have to read it to understand, but I don't recommend you read it, so I don't know what to tell you. Okay, this is how I felt. It felt like a middle schooler was writing a book involving high schoolers, but didn't actually know how high schoolers talked, they have this like idea of how high school is and how high schoolers talk. And so they wrote this book trying to be cool to their other middle school friends. Cause like they know high school. That's what it felt like. I don't know. It was very strange. It was very interesting. I don't know many 16-year-olds who are taking care of an entire business and have that much stress on their lives. And this is coming from somebody whose parents owned their own restaurants and have always owned their own restaurants. Like, I grew up in that world, and never once was I like, oh, the dependence of my parents' success is all on me. And I didn't have that. And maybe my parents made sure that I didn't have that. I don't know, but it was an interesting read nonetheless. I'm going to move on. I felt like I've spent way too much time on that book. I also read In the Weeds. This is by B.K. Borison. I forgot. And I should have remembered, but I didn't. I forgot. I read Love Light Farms last year. I thought it was very cute, but I forgot the amount of spice in it. I really, truly did. And so when I read In the Weeds, and honestly, it starts off with a one night stand. I should have known better. When I read In the Weeds, I was like, what is going on in this book? Like, what is going on in this book? Why is there so much spice in here? It was kind of frustrating. It was kind of annoying. So if you are looking for something that's no spice, no smut, do not go to this one. Just walk away from it. Yeah. I don't even like the plot of this book. It was very insta-love. I don't even think these characters actually like each other. I think that the author just made them like each other. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the guy, I can't even remember his name, Beckett. I think he has some sort of autism, but that never gets explored, and it only gets like brought up when it's convenient to move the plot along for Evie's character, and like, oh, look how mothering she is, and she's so caring, and da 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 da. And even though he has these auditory struggles where he can't be in loud places, he'll do whatever it takes to make sure she's happy. And it's just like, I don't know, it just was very strange. So I think I gave this 3 stars, and I don't know why I gave it 3 stars, but I think I gave it 3 stars because it was like good enough. They had a one night stand. She leaves, which again, I'm not sure why he's mad. There was no conversation between the two of them of like, hey, let's explore this. Let's see what happens. There was no conversation. They spent a whole weekend together and there was no conversation. So the fact that she went to go catch her flight, I don't know why he's mad about this. But then she moves into his town temporarily, I guess. And he sees her and he's mad, and she doesn't, like, she's just kind of like assumes he's mad for a different reason. I don't know. It's just very confusing. And then, yeah, that's the whole story. They're mad at each other, and for different reasons. And the other one doesn't realize that the other person's mad at them for something that they didn't do intentionally. So that was this one. Also, I just want to say that some of these books I'm giving kind of vague because I can't fully remember every little thing that happened like I normally can. Normal months, I can read a book and I can give you all of the details again. I cannot, for some reason, focus. I think it's just the lack of sleep, but here we are with the next one. This is Freedom McFadden's The Boyfriend. I read this so fast. I don't care that her writing is sometimes predictable. I don't care. I eat it up. I just eat it up. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was so good. I loved the twist at the end. Didn't see that one coming. Well, I saw some of it coming, but I didn't see that one coming. So if you know, you know. And I just think, I really loved this book. I do have questions because I feel like this is one of her books. She does this every now and again in her books where she kind of forgets to tie up some loose ends. And I feel like this was one of them where like there were a couple of things that I'm like, hey, wait, did this ever get figured out? Like, but overall though, I really like her books. They're very fast paced. This is a book about this girl who's pretty self-obsessed. Like, please calm down. She is on the dating apps. She's trying to find a boyfriend, I think. She broke up with this guy. His name's Jake. He's a detective. And she starts dating this other guy, Tom. After her friend gets murdered by a mysterious doctor. Okay, her friend gets murdered by a doctor. And she meets a doctor, like, that same day or whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's very confusing. Why she didn't, okay, whatever. Anyways, then Tom is the other point of view. Tom is the doctor. And you're getting his past point of view. So, like, all of his point of view is from when he was in high school. And all of her point of view is in the present. Sydney. Her name's Sydney. And I thought that that was brilliant. I really did. I thought that that was so brilliant, so smart. You really get insight into Tom's life. And, like, I don't know. It was very good. It was very, very good. I don't want to give away too much because the twist is kind of reliant of you going into this a little bit blind, but oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so, so good. I do recommend this one. I don't care that her writing is not perfect. I don't care. It's very bingeable and it's very good. So I recommend this one. I gave it 4 stars. I also read a very good book, and that was The Reappearance of Rachel Price. This is a YA thriller. I love Holly Jackson. If you've read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder or Five Survive, those are all by the same author, and I didn't really like Five Survive. I thought that one was kind of lazy, but A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I read the first book of that one, and that was phenomenal. I did accidentally get a signed copy because this was a book for my book club, a book club that I'm in, and this was the only copy that they had in the store, so I just got this one, and it's signed, so whatever. But this is about Rachel Price, who went missing, and she is the mother of Belle. And Rachel shows up out of the blue when Belle's dad decides to do this documentary on the disappearance of his wife, which is like this like phenomenon, right? Like everybody's wondering what happened to Rachel, and she shows up and her story's not adding up, and it is so good. There were parts of this book that I thought I saw coming, and then I gaslit myself and was like, maybe that's not what's happening. Or I didn't gaslight, Holly gaslighted me, and I was like, maybe that's not what's happening right now. But like, it was so good. It was just so many twists and turns. The ending it's just like so interesting. The things that happen, the things that are said, the things that come to light. I really liked it. I really liked Belle's character. I think she's very realistic for a teenager. And I really liked Ash. I think his name is Ash. I can't remember. But he's the guy in this. And I don't know, like, I just really liked the mock documentary following her around. I thought that was so funny, and like the things that happen with it and all that stuff. But yeah, it's so good. This was also something that I read pretty quickly because it just was that good. So definitely recommend this one. I think I also gave it 4 stars. I read Howl's Moving Castle. This took me forever to read. I think it took me like the second half of November to read. And the reasoning for that is because it's just very slow. It's a very slow read. It's a middle school read, middle grade. And while I do think that it was good writing, I don't know if you've ever read Tuck Everlasting, but I pretty much judge every book by Tuck Everlasting because that was when I was a little child, I read that book, and it was just so magical to me that the writing, and again, I was a little kid when I read this, but I do remember one line about her talking about the dust bunnies playing underneath the bed and then the sun glittering in with dust, to show this like room, this like bedroom. And I will never forget that line. I think it's just so magical and beautiful, and I just loved it so much. And I felt like Howl's Moving Castle, she was trying to do that. I don't think she executed it as perfectly, but I did see where she was trying to do that often. It was more Roald Dahl style than it was Tuck Everlasting, if that makes sense. I am going to say this. Please don't get mad at me. I think the movie is better. It at least kept my attention longer. This one, I was reading like a page or half a page, and then I had to like set this down because it was just so boring at times. Like nothing happened for a good first 100 pages of this. Nothing happens. And then in the end, I felt like it just kind of like wraps itself up. I can't even tell you what actually really happened. And I finished this book on the last day of November. I was trying to like get it in. So I don't know. It just was not, I don't know. I just don't know. This is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. It is an epic fantasy. This is book 1 of the Bloodsworn. Yeah, the Bloodsworn. Book 1. This was so good. I know a lot of people have problems with John Gwynne, with his writing. They just can't get into it. I think it's fantastic. Like, I was super interested in it. This is I have given you an overview. I think actually in this video I gave you an overview because I have his newest book, The Fury of the Gods, and that's the third book in the Bloodsworn series. And so highly recommend, highly recommend. If you want a really good epic fantasy, I definitely recommend this. I'm so excited to get into book 2, but I probably won't get into it until January because December I really want to focus on my cozy holiday Christmas books. So, but like definitely if you are interested in epic fantasies, let me know down below in the comments because I really like epic fantasies. They're some of my favorite to read, but I haven't read many because they also are chunky. Like this one's not so chunky. This one was less than 500 pages. So they're not all chunky, but like here's book 3. Like, book 3 is a chunkster. Let's see how many pages book 3 is. Oh, actually, this is not too bad either. This is 528. Here's book 2. Book 2, I feel like these are not, okay, this one's a little chunkier. This one's 625. Yeah, I guess. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they're just normal sized. For fantasy. I'm not talking like normal sized in just everyday books. Obviously not. But for an epic fantasy, they are on the pretty short side. So I think most epic fantasies are at least like closer to 1,000. I mean, A Priory of the Orange Tree, that book was, how long was that book? Now that I'm thinking about it, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe epic fantasies are around that 600 page range. Anyways, this was phenomenal. I gave this 4 stars. Highly recommend if you're trying to get into epic fantasies. I don't know if I would start with this one. I think I would start with The Priory of the Orange Tree. If you want to get into John Gwynne, I've been told to not start with this. Start with Malice. I chose to start with this instead of Malice, but I have been told that you should start with Malice, his series, which isn't, it's another series, okay? Malice is another series. So, yeah. Do with that information as you will. I recommend this one. I think it was phenomenal. I think it was perfect. And then this is the last book that I read. This is An Academy for Liars. This is by Alexis Henderson. I don't know how I feel about this book. I think I'm giving it 3 stars. I haven't really solidified a rating for it just yet. But I'm thinking of 3 stars. I thought it was good. I think what was involved in it, like the plot line, I think that was good. This is about this girl and she gets admitted into this college that she never even applied to, and this college is all about the act of persuasion basically, and how people with their minds can just make people do whatever they want. They basically can manipulate them, and it's magic. But I just felt like we were trying really hard to be something that we weren't in this book. I think it's like so pretentious to read. If you want a book that just reads, I'm better than you, then I would definitely recommend this. If you want a book that you can recommend any of your pretentious friends, I would recommend this for you. Just give this one to them. It is, I did kind of like that our main characters are black, because I don't know how to explain this. Like, I don't know how to explain why I liked the main characters. And I just want to say, like, in so many books where the characters are white, they do not really emphasize their skin color often, because everybody, I don't want to say everybody, that's not true, but I do believe that we have kind of been conditioned that main characters are more so on the lighter skin size. They're either like olive, which is like my color, or they're pale, they're porcelain, they're like all of these, you know what I mean? Whereas this author did a really good job, because she did the same method of writing style with white main characters, but they were black. Like, I didn't even know that this girl was black until much further into the book, when she mentioned something about her skin color, or I think she mentioned something about her parents, and her parents are black. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, we have a black main character. And the author treated her like all of the other main characters, where I do feel as though there are some times where authors write a black character, especially non-black authors, when they write a black character, they have to make sure that you know that that character is black, and they put it in every time that character is involved in a scene. They mention their skin color in one way or another, and it kind of frustrates me because I'm just like, guys, we don't need to be doing all of this. Like, it doesn't need to be, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't flow in the writing, whereas I think this was so beautifully done. So I do like that aspect of the book. I did also find it to be slightly racist in other aspects. So yeah. Just a little touch of it, though. Just a little touch of it. It wasn't, it was fine. It's fine. Well, I mean, it's not fine, but it was something that I think was unintentional but intentional at the same time, because I think that it fit that character, the way that things were said. It just really fit that character, and I don't think that character was racist in any way. I think that they just genuinely believe that idea of, like, there are some people that are important and there are other people that are not important, and it's just the way life goes. I think he was being more so like realistic. Like, there are some people that are smart and there's some people that aren't smart. There are some people who are going to work at McDonald's and there's some people who are going to work at Wall Street. And that's just the way life is. And he's just very callous of a character. So, do I recommend this one? I think I recommend it for people who are pretty pretentious and think that they are better than other people. So, yeah. But I did like different parts of this book. I did like the magic system, which isn't really magic, but I did really like the magic system. Again, that's not really magic. And I really liked the layers of this book. Like, there's so many layers in this book. And I can't talk about this scene, but there is a scene of time travel, and the main male character, his name's, what is his name? David. It's not David. It's something pretentious. Oh my gosh, it's a pretentious name. It's like Dante. His name's Dante. And he tells her, like, you can't change the past. It will always happen the way it's supposed to happen. And if you go into the past, you can be the reason why something does happen. And I just really love the time travel aspect of this because it's pretty good. It's just pretty good. So anyways, that's all the books that I read in November. I'm sorry if that was a terrible explanation. I haven't really been sleeping. So last night I went to bed at 8 a.m. this morning. So, yeah, that's what life is like with a newborn. And I'm very excited because my in-laws are actually coming this weekend. They'll be here Thursday night, but we're not going to see them till Friday because they're getting in pretty late Thursday. While I will be awake, they will want to rest up. So, but I'm very excited for them to come and just see the baby because they will want to take the baby for long periods of time, and I will be able to shower and brush my hair. So that's very exciting for me. I don't really know what the rest of this month is going to look like. I do know that I'm going to be starting some live reading sprints. So if you're interested in that, I will be doing live reading sprints on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and they will start on Saturdays. Did I say that? I can't remember if I said that, but starting on the 14th of December, which is a Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on YouTube live doing reading sprints. So I hope that you join us for those. And then in January, I am also thinking of starting a book club. I just felt like recently I've been in a lot of online book clubs where the creator doesn't read the book, or they DNF the book, or they aren't super involved in the book club. And I have been talking to some other people who also feel the same way and miss that. So I won't be doing it in December just because it's very hectic this month and it's a little late in the month to start. I realize that we're only 4 days in, but by the time you see this, we'll be, I think, 7 days in, and then by the time we like get banded together, it's just gonna be a whole thing. But if you are interested in joining the book club, it'll be free. I'm not gonna do any of like the Patreon or anything like that. I would just start a Discord channel. But if you are interested in that, let me know. And then also like let me know what types of books you would be interested in reading. I know like my reading tastes are kind of all over the place. I understand that. I totally understand that. I think that it'll probably be a pretty diverse book club, and yeah, it'll be interesting. I just don't want, because the book clubs that I've been in, even though the creator doesn't really read, like, I don't know, the creator doesn't really read romance, but it keeps getting picked, and so then the creator doesn't want to read the book. And this is not any one particular creator, this is multiple creators, where like the same book keeps getting picked, and it's not a book that they would read on their own. And then when they do read it, it's not something that they're interested in reading, and then they don't read it at all. And when I join a book club, I want to read with that person. Like, I want to read with people, especially the person that created the book club. And I also, for our book club in January, I want to do weekly meetings where we can talk about the pages that we've read. So it'll be more of a traditional book club instead of like everybody just read as you read. I want to meet up with people, like I want to meet with you guys and talk about the pages and get into the book and talk about the characters and what's going on. And then at the end of the book, we can discuss the whole book as a whole and really get into it and talk about like ratings and stuff like that. So I do want to have those conversations. And I think the book club will start in January. I'll post more about it as the month progresses. But for now, that's all that I have. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I know I took all of November off. I didn't mean to. I meant to have at least one video up. It just got crazy and wild. And I don't even remember if I told you the birth story, but if you're interested in that, it was a pretty fast delivery. I gaslit myself the whole time, was like, no, I'm not in labor. It's totally fine. And then I very much was in labor. So, but if you want that story, I don't mind giving it to you. It was a very positive story. So I did want to say that. Like, I had a very positive labor and delivery. And I know that sometimes people have not so positive stories. And I think that's absolutely real. And we need to validate those people. But I also think that sometimes it gets a little scary. And so just having more positive stories out there, I think, can be beneficial for women, especially women who are currently pregnant. When I was pregnant, I hated coming across pregnancy stories online because they were always terrible and I was always terrified. And then when I went into my own labor and delivery, I was like, oh, this is actually really okay. Like, there should be more positive stories out there. So yeah, anyways, if you are interested in any of the things that I discussed, don't forget to leave those comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. The next video I'm going to change the schedule a little bit. The schedule is going to now be on Sundays and not Saturdays so that we can do the reading sprints on Saturdays. Okay? All right. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.